I'm living in Las Vegas, Nevada, and I was born in Mississippi. However, my stepfather was in the Air Force, which gave me a wide range of understanding policy, public policy, that is. And then I had 3 children. I was married and divorced. And that makes a difference when you get the divorce. You don't live past those number of years necessary. I lived 7 years into my marriage, and then I got a divorce. And divorce is real. Did my ex actually contribute after that? No. Hurt feelings are everything. And then I see that people are just broken. Unfortunately, brokenness comes with African American people, as we were enslaved in America, and just enslaved. It amazes me that, people want to know what they don't know. And that's just real. Our lives are different based on what? Our shared experiences. But quite frankly, if you have not chosen to engage in any kind of anything, it's kind of like a personal choice. You didn't choose to grow, and therefore you didn't grow. And that's just real. As an American citizen, I always question life, liberty, and the pursuit of, as it is a choice. But you don't have to choose to do anything. You can just sit right there on your derriere and do absolutely nothing. But know this: we all generate a dollar. And when those dollars come back to the local communities, it is for the local people to determine how those dollars are utilized. And yeah, I watch, the Ferguson issue when Michael Brown was first, he just transitioned, right? It was circumstances in which he transitioned, and that's just real problematic. And so, as it is still problematic, because George Floyd, Amir Locke, Breonna Taylor, all these lives were upended suddenly. And then, as a people, we're not talking about it. And I'm saying, well, when did failure become the only option? And what is willful defiance? But somebody please explain social emotional learning, because it doesn't exist. We are humans. And what we're really talking about is the lack of human development. And when I moved here some 5 or 6 years ago, during this time I've been living here, there was a young African American woman. She was just beautiful. Her husband brought her here, pumped her up with babies. She had a 1-year-old and a 1-month-old. And this person went back to work as if she could handle it. And I'm saying, you see, it brought me to this question. I want to understand, what is Nevada doing around assessments of 1-month-olds and 3-year-olds and 1-year-old? It doesn't really matter. There should have been a medical professional involved in her case, as her husband had already been released back to work, and she just didn't have enough milk to feed those babies, but she lost it somewhere along the way. And as a woman, I know, because the milk only comes when you're relaxed. And, people teach people how to do what? Hello. How to breastfeed. It's not something that's natural, but you would think it's natural because the animals do it. And we're just another form of an animal. But breastfeeding is real, and it's the best thing for your baby, for you to do that. Oh, I'm just sitting out here on the patio, wondering what the hell's going on. Simply, when tonight you go to sleep one night and everything is one way, and then you wake up and it's a whole different way. It really doesn't matter, because if you're not participating in the process, meaning you're not sharing information, you're not whatever, the effects are just, affecting you. My girlfriend called me this morning. She said her HOA, whatever, her property assessment, whatever, had went up. And so she owes to the HOA $2,600. What am I saying? Doesn't matter. If you have a question, ask the question, because I'm just out here talking because I want to talk. That's real. And, asking questions about what is it that you've done in your local community that makes a difference for everyone. That's the question. Do you need to, what am I saying? Well, it is a question. People choose to do absolutely nothing, and choice is everything. And then you have people who choose to step up and participate. And then you just didn't realize, maybe you didn't get the memo. But well, happy birthday. My birthday's coming up too. Yep. There used to be this program called Anchor and another one called Wisdom. And they were better for basically social expression. In America, we all have been given a gift. I am in Nevada, Las Vegas. Viva Las Vegas. That's where I am, in Las Vegas and Nevada, where lives are changed overnight. And it really doesn't matter, because it's up to you and your spirit that carries you that will eventually bless you one day. And what can I say? You never know when it's going to come. But I do know I wouldn't want to live anywhere else in the world. I pick America, even if all the states are so different, because states are states and states have states' rights. Oh, you're over there in India. Yeah, you guys do a lot of contracted work with Microsoft and probably Nivea, probably all of, the motherboards and processing, whatever. You guys got a lot of tech over there. Well, you support a lot of people who don't know shit, and that would be Americans. Yep, because they don't even really know what's going on. But we're living in a world where Elon Musk got all of the information. And ID me is a federal website. And then I've been having issues of lack of whatever since they took over and went in there and changed everything. But, if you have a phone number, they know you and everything you do. As your phone number never changes. I still have that plug. I still plug myself in. I have to plug it here, and then I have to actually turn it on. Turn the fan on. That's not the one. One of these will make it charge up. If it's plugged in. Oh, it's not plugged in. That would make sense. Okay. Now it's charging. These cell phones aren't worth shit these days. They're really just not. Well, thank you so much for subscribing, because it's my podcast over there on Spotify that I really want to get subscribers to, because it's called Parent Empowerment Half an Hour. And actually, I believe that all humans, given the ability to articulate or share concerns, is doing what you should be doing. Because quite frankly, well, thank you so much. Quite frankly, I have one grandchild and probably the world of grandchildren, as we have a responsibility and obligation to ourselves. And I saw one young woman, and she was talking about her nightmare and how her family abused her, and I'm saying, oh, Lord, you are able to choose whoever you want to mentor you. And the blessing is that when you know that you've been blessed, all I can say is enjoy the blessing, because He is good every day. And you just understand what you understand. As freedom was never free, but we have a choice, and we just did. My mom passed away almost 3 years ago. Yep, And she just did everything for us. But when she didn't graduate from high school, she came back and challenged the board, the state of California, the board of nursing, and took the test and became a licensed vocational nurse. And they had to hire her because, that was the thing. She was in a class and she took the test, challenged the test, and passed the test. And I have my license too for cosmetology. Not that I'm doing hair. I'm not doing hair. Because the chemicals, and it's the chemicals. But thank you so much. We're blessed in spirit. That's what we are. And then so, people have to look after themselves. And that's just real. I know that I'm blessed and highly favored because everything I need has just been taken care of. At this age, I never even thought about getting to the age of 66 and a half. I'm almost going to be 67. Come the end of the month, 67 years old. Ching, ching, ching. And then I realized, I'm going to be partying because, we all should celebrate our lives. But understand that trials and tribulations and actually what comes is the ability to give of yourself. And what are you giving today? What are you doing? And what have you done? Because the universe has pushed you in a direction. Maybe you're not on the same boat or the same plane as me, but you're on a plane. And you have to understand that it is we, the people, that make a difference. And if you're giving of yourself, then it is through your journey that we will survive. Because we have to hope that you've done whatever the universe recalled or called you to do. And that's just real. I want to say welcome to my talk. I want to encourage everybody to go over there on Spotify and find me, as I have Parent Empowerment Half an Hour. It's on Spotify. I even got some dance videos that I put up there behind some of my videos so y'all know who's talking to you, because a lot of times it's just these words. But I promise you that failure is never an option. And if you're failing at anything, then you need to open your eyes. Because, people have to get ready because it trained and came and went. Well, thank you. We must look, there's nothing saying we could not be connected as family. Simply, we don't know who we are. We have no idea as people living in America who just happened to survive the slave trade and are still standing. My mother was still standing, like I said. She didn't graduate high school, but she went back and got her high school diploma through adult ed. And then after that, she challenged the board and took the state test. And you too can do it because they have processes established for people to make it who probably didn't do it the traditional way. But I want to say pimping ain't easy. And oh well, people do it daily. But it is you that have to make a determination. What will you do in 2025? And that's just real. And as we are all living, we all have an obligation to do something. And people are just stupid. Especially these bugs that keep on crawling in the cup. Because I'm sorry, their life is ended as soon as they get into the cup. And I got this fly trap, and my brother had it. And it hangs up, it's got a little green plunger on it, and the top in a bag. And the flies just run into that fly trap. And I said, I've never seen anything like that before. We got the zapper, the bug zapper. Oh no, the bug zapper don't work. The fly trap, however, is going to be delivered here today. And I just believe in Amazon. And I believe that so many people are going to do what? They are going to keep certain things alive. Meaning that it's going to be a transition. Taylor Swift. Well, let me see what Taylor got to say. All of the music, I have to see what she said. That's not it. Here it is right here. And that's what Michael did. Michael owned the Beatles. So I want to tell you, on the morning that Michael died, the Beatles were in New York, Times Square. And those people went and performed on Times Square. And it was like they had known that Michael had passed away because they performed that day, and they had said that they would never perform as long as a black man owned them. And he did. He owned their music catalog. And then you have to understand where we stand. Simply, with Diddy engineering all of that. Well, that's great, because we're just living in the hell. And I don't know, because failure was just never an option for me. My children didn't fail. All of my children got high school diplomas, and I do mean above grade level proficiency. I mean, they were not on the below. But there are people that get pushed out of the system that don't make any, can't read. What am I saying? I mean, that public education is mandatory. Did you not know that? You don't have a choice. But here in America, they just simply take your children from you. And when the state is acting egregiously in order to what? Relieve you of your children, then it's a criminal enterprise. Because guess what? They should be working towards reunification according to Born in the USA. Reunification is the key. But when they're not, and they have no data that demonstrates that they ever did that, then they're just harvesting, but they're creating an environment in which they can't harvest. Don't you get it? I mean, if compliance, and they had a reason to come and force me to comply, they'd be right here. I remember when my baby started having the grand mal seizures, and I called the paramedics and they showed up. But then, guess who else showed up? The police. They want to know whether my children roughhousing with the baby, and somehow the baby started having seizures. No. But what I realized is I lived in an apartment complex on 24th and Meadowview. It was built over a toxic waste place where they cleaned up the toxic waste. And then there was black mold that was growing in the windowsill the first year I lived there. And then that's when my son started having grand mal seizures when we moved there. But it took almost 2 years after we left that environment for the seizures to stop happening. And I'm saying, it is what it is. You don't know shit. You only know what you've been afforded to understand. And that's based on the direction. Were you willing to accept the challenge to this day? I mean, who does public politics? Who does? Kaepernick tried to do it, certainly did. And he was told what? He would never work again. Derek Johnson was on C-SPAN this morning, cspan.org, and it is an application. You can go and download it. It's free. And even people in other countries, as long as your country doesn't have that level of restriction on you, then, you can participate in C-SPAN and actually call in. But I feel sorry for those people who were here on those visas who thought that they could show up at a protest. They just thought that they could show up at a protest, and now they're being deported. Do you understand? This is the life of what? Liberty and justice. Just not for you, boo. There's only liberty and justice when you choose to stand up. And we all have a choice in America. What are you going to do? It is 2025. Failure was just never an option. I have no idea why you would be afraid. Payo. Whatever. The whole thing is, who are you as it is 2025? And we are all Americans. What will you do? Because you only can do what you know that you're supposed to do, but so many people are terrified, will not have a conversation with you because they don't want nobody to know what's going on in that little head of theirs, Yeah. It's just troublesome. Because, when Johnny Cash said it, you better know when to hold them and then know when to fold them, but know when to walk away and then understand when to run. Because you just never want to count your money while you're sitting at the table, because there'll be time enough for counting when the deal is done. And it is not lean on me when you're not strong. It's just don't lean on me. And that's that song. Lean on me, when you're not strong. Said I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on. Whoa, it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. You just might have a problem that you'll understand. We all need somebody to lean on. And it is true, because we do have problems, as we are a broke nation. And I'm just trying to understand. It is your spirit that guides you. And I am Grandma's age, because I am 67, June 30th, 2025. And yes, I am alive, living in America. And guess what? Enjoying the life I've led, because it is a good life. But we all have choice. And, I never would have gotten caught up in that Diddy bullshit or the R. Kelly BS and Angus Reid forum. No, I was participating in their little surveys. It got a little bit too personal for me. No, I'm not going to tell you what I'm doing. I'm not going to admit to anything, filling out a goddamn interest form, because it's nobody's business. But if I give up my information freely, then I've given it up. So no, bullshit. Not interested in Angus Reid. Yep. Because everybody feels that they think that they're smart. Oh, so sorry, but didn't you spend a lot of time with your grandma? And if you spend a lot of time with your grandma's still right there with you. My mom is still right here with me. And I spent every day with her. And she would ring my bell. And when she rang that bell, I would come running, because we determined that, she couldn't get up and walk. She couldn't move. So the bell ringing was critical. And I didn't have a problem answering the bell. And that's just, you can ring my bell, ring my bell. And she used to ring the bell every day. And I didn't mind. But we have so much to do, and it is 2025. And I'm just trying to wonder, how do they figure it? Like, I want to understand how they charging for summer school here in Henderson, Nevada. And you have to pay for summer school. And the school collects that $100. And it's criminal, because it is a public entity that has an obligation to provide educational services to you, and it has also obligation to measure what is considered the maintenance of effort. But if they're not benefiting in you, and you've chosen to stay where you are being oppressed, then it's a public choice. And that's what you understand. When I understood that I had power to make a choice in where my kids were going to go and what they learned, I was there every day. And I would go to the board meetings, and I would go to the school site council meetings, and I was a member of the school site council. I was a member of the governance structure for early Head Start. And they have Head Start funding right here in Nevada. It's unfortunate that they don't have the people who are generating the money. I mean, when they go upwards of a certain percentage to flex their ability and showing you what they can do, but they didn't understand. When it came time for the data boom, Nevada doesn't have the data, and guess what? If you don't have the data, but you don't have the flexibility to use that money like you thought you did, and people are getting ready to, because what they didn't understand is what America hasn't really, chosen to do, is that the federal government can snatch all that money back, and they really can. And that's on you. If you didn't do what you should have done, it's a personal thing. I got what I was entitled to. All my kids graduated. Well, I'm hoping that the spirit of your mother, your grandmother, is running right here in my veins, because we, the people, have so much work to do. And you, too, have work to do. I think I've talked to you before over there on one of those other apps. I'm not exactly sure. Please don't EST me, please. I don't know what that means. Oh, truly. I have no idea. In America, life is about you and your choices. And we all have choices, and we make choices every day. And you have to understand that if your choice is benefiting you, then that's exactly what you should be doing. But if you're having a struggling time, understand there is work to do. And perhaps you should look another direction. Because I say pimping ain't easy. But whatever I say, GOTNDAM, you do what it is you like. But until we meet again, please check out my podcast, Parent Empowerment Half an Hour. It's over there on Spotify. Follow me, like, and subscribe, and share. Because sharing is caring, and this is where we're going to go. We're going to choose our own empowerment strategy. We're going to choose to stand up and be counted. But until we meet again, boo, y'all have a blessed day. It's hot out here already.